There's a clear liquid that costs less than $2 at almost any hardware store. You pour it onto rust that has been building for decades. Not days, not months, years. You don't scrub, you don't sand, you don't touch it, you just wait. And something impossible happens. The rust starts to disappear. Not slowly, not partially, completely. Thick orange corrosion that looked permanent begins to dissolve. Rust layers that survived steel brushes break apart. Dark stains that soaked into the surface vanish. What's left behind doesn't look cleaned. It looks untouched, bare metal, smooth. Like the rust was never there. Like time reversed itself. This liquid didn't just remove the rust, it erased it. And almost nobody talks about it. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works too well. Because a product that solves the problem instantly creates a dangerous question. Why would anyone ever buy anything else? This liquid has existed for decades. It was never banned, never restricted, never taken off shelves. It was simply ignored, buried under rows of products that promise results. Sprays, foams, gels, all designed to do one thing: delay. Because delay creates dependence, and dependence creates profit. A liquid that removes rust permanently cannot create repeat customers. And without repeat customers, there is no industry. This is the story of the $2 liquid that breaks that system. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If these stories matter to you, subscribe. Because what you're about to hear is not advertised, not promoted, and definitely not taught. We open what others keep hidden. The year was 1902, a railway maintenance yard in Pennsylvania, steel tracks stretching for miles, exposed to rain, humidity, time. Rust was constant, unavoidable. Workers spent hours scraping corrosion off metal parts, grinding, hammering, replacing sections entirely. It was slow, expensive, and never permanent. Because rust always came back. Then something changed. A shipment arrived. Industrial descaling solution, originally designed to remove mineral buildup from boilers, not rust, at least not officially. One worker decided to try it anyway. He poured a small amount onto a rusted metal plate. No scrubbing, no tools, just liquid. And waiting. Minutes passed. Nothing seemed different. Then the surface began to darken. The bright orange rust shifted, softened, then broke apart. It didn't flake off. It didn't smear. It disappeared. What remained was a darkened layer that rinsed away easily with water. Underneath, clean metal, not polished, not damaged, just clean. What he had just witnessed wasn't cleaning. It was chemistry. The liquid contained a compound capable of transforming iron oxide, phosphoric acid. At the molecular level, rust isn't just sitting on metal. It becomes part of it. Bonded, integrated. That's why scrubbing doesn't work. You're not removing rust. You're fighting a chemical structure. And force is the wrong tool. Phosphoric acid does something different. It reacts. It targets iron oxide directly, breaks it apart, rebuilds it into a new compound. Iron phosphate, a stable, non-reactive layer, one that doesn't stick, one that washes away. The rust doesn't get cleaned, it gets converted, neutralized, eliminated. This changes everything, because it means rust isn't permanent. It's reversible, and that's a problem. Not for you. For the industry. Because if rust can be removed permanently in minutes, entire product categories stop making sense. Think about it. Rust removers, polishing compounds, protective coatings, replacement parts, all built around one assumption, that rust is something you manage. Not eliminate, but this liquid proves something else. Rust can be erased. And if that becomes common knowledge, the system collapses. But stay with me, because this is just the beginning. But here's where things get uncomfortable. Because once you understand how this liquid works, you start noticing something strange. Most rust products don't actually remove rust. They manage it, they lighten it, they hide it, they slow it down, but they don't eliminate it. And that's not an accident. That's design. Because a product that completely solves the problem removes the need for itself. And a product that removes the need for itself cannot survive on store shelves. So instead, the market is filled with solutions that almost work. Just enough to keep you coming back. Again, and again, and again. Look at any hardware store, entire aisles dedicated to rust, different brands, different labels, different promises. Same result, temporary improvement. Because temporary improvement creates permanent customers. Now compare that to what this liquid does. When phosphoric acid touches rust, the reaction starts instantly. No delay, no buildup, no effort. The iron oxide reacts with the acid, breaks down, reforms, detaches, and washes away. There's no scrubbing phase, because there's nothing left to scrub. There's no second pass, because the rust is already gone. This is not cleaning, it's chemical restructuring, and that's why it feels so different. You're not fighting the surface. You're changing it. That's also why most people don't believe it works, because everything they've been taught about cleaning involves effort. Scrubbing equals results. Force equals effectiveness. Time equals progress. This breaks all three. No force, no effort, minimal time, maximum result. And that contradiction makes people skeptical until they see it. And once they see it, they don't go back. But here's what matters even more. The numbers. Because the numbers expose everything. A typical rust remover costs between $10 and $20. Most people use multiple bottles per year, especially if they deal with outdoor equipment, cars, tools, pipes. That adds up quickly. $100 per year, $200 per year. Over 10 years, $1,000 to $2,000. And what do you get? Maintenance, not a solution. Because the rust always returns. So you keep buying, keep applying, keep repeating. Now compare that to a $2 to $5 bottle of phosphoric acid solution. One bottle can last months, sometimes longer. Each application costs cents, not dollars. And more importantly, it ends the cycle. You're not maintaining rust. You're eliminating it. That difference is everything. Because once the rust is gone at the molecular level, there's nothing left to come back. But here's the part most people never consider. Replacement cost. When rust gets bad enough, people stop cleaning. They replace. Tools get thrown out. Metal parts get swapped. Equipment gets upgraded. Not because it stopped working, because it looked beyond repair. Hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands. All triggered by something that could have been solved in minutes. And that's where the real loss happens. Not in the products you buy, in the things you replace, because you were never told there was another option. And this is exactly why this liquid stays in the background. It doesn't just compete with products. It eliminates entire categories. And industries don't protect products. They protect categories. So instead of promoting something that ends the problem, they promote systems that sustain it. Maintenance cycles, weekly routines. Apply regularly. Use as needed. Repeat for best results. That language isn't random. It's engineered, because repetition is revenue, and final solutions are not. But the professionals never stopped using it. And that tells you everything. Auto repair shops use it to restore rusted parts. Construction crews use it before painting metal structures. Marine workers rely on it to remove corrosion from boats. Industrial maintenance teams use it at scale, because when performance matters, marketing disappears, and only results remain. They don't care about branding, they care about outcome. And this liquid delivers one outcome: complete removal. No cycle, no dependency, no return problem. That's why it never needed advertising. It spreads differently. Through experience. One person tries it, sees the result, tells someone else, and that's how it survives. Quietly. Outside the system. But now you know. And once you see it work, everything else starts to look different. Because now you're not choosing products, you're choosing outcomes, and only one of them actually ends the problem. So here's the part that matters most: what you actually do with this. Because knowing is useless if you never apply it. Go to any hardware store, not the cleaning aisle. Skip it completely. That's where the noise is. Instead, go to the industrial section or the paint prep section. Look for one thing: a rust converter or a phosphoric acid solution. No branding tricks. No flashy packaging. Usually plain. Sometimes even hidden on lower shelves. Price? Between $2 and $5, that's it. Take it home. And before you use it, understand something. This is not a cosmetic product. This is chemistry. It works because it reacts. And anything that reacts needs to be handled correctly. So do it right. Wear gloves. Basic protection. Avoid skin contact. Make sure the area is ventilated. This isn't complicated. Just respect the process. Now here's exactly what to do. Find the rust. Doesn't matter how old it is. Doesn't matter how thick it looks. Surface rust. Deep corrosion. Doesn't change the method. Apply the liquid directly onto the rusted area. Use a brush, a cloth, or just pour a small amount. Make sure the surface is covered. Then stop. Don't scrub. Don't touch it. Don't interfere. Let the chemistry work. Within minutes, the reaction begins. You might see the surface darken. That's normal. That's the conversion happening. That's the rust breaking down. Wait 5 to 15 minutes. For heavier corrosion, give it more time. Up to 20 minutes. Still no scrubbing. Still no force. After that, rinse it with water. Just rinse. And look at it. The rust is gone. Not hidden. Not reduced. Gone. What you're seeing is the original material underneath. Metal that was buried under years of oxidation. Now exposed again. Clean. Stable. Restored. If the rust was extreme, repeat the process once. That's it. 2 passes is almost always enough. No sanding, no grinding, no hours wasted. Total time? Under 20 minutes. Total cost? Less than a cup of coffee. And that's the part that should bother you. Because this was never complicated. It was never expensive. It was never out of reach. It was just never shown to you. Now, one important thing, this is where most people get it wrong. After removing rust, protect the surface. Because while the rust is gone, the metal is now exposed. Fresh. Reactive. So if you leave it untreated in the same conditions, rust can form again over time. Not because the liquid failed, but because exposure continues. So after cleaning, dry the surface. And if needed, apply a protective layer. Paint, oil, sealant. Something simple. That step turns a temporary fix into a permanent result. Now you've solved the entire cycle. Removal and prevention. And once you do that once, you don't go back. Because now you understand something most people don't. Rust isn't a life sentence. It's a chemical state. And chemical states can be changed easily, cheaply, quickly. But here's the question that should stay with you. If something this simple exists, why were you never told? Why were you taught to scrub, to replace, to keep buying? Why does every shelf push solutions that never fully work? The answer is uncomfortable, because the system isn't built to solve your problem. It's built to extend it, because extended problems generate extended profit, and solved problems don't. So instead of one solution, you get hundreds of partial ones, different names, same cycle, buy, use, repeat. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, because this isn't just about rust. It's about how problems are packaged, how solutions are hidden, how simple answers are buried under complexity. And once you start noticing that, you see it everywhere, not just in hardware stores, in every industry built on repetition. So the real value here isn't just the liquid, it's the shift. From reacting to problems to understanding them. Because once you understand the mechanism, you don't need marketing. You don't need guessing. You just apply the right solution. And move on. If this opened your eyes even a little, share it. Because this is the kind of information that disappears quietly. Not because it's false, but because it's inconvenient. Every share brings it back. Every view keeps it alive. Everything they buried is still there, still cheap, still effective, still ignored, until someone points at it. Now you know where to look, and once you try it, you'll understand why this was never pushed to the front. The next vault goes deeper, and what's inside affects more than just rust.